Hi everybody, welcome to another live Q&A. We've got it all going on the Sculpt Menopause YouTube channel today. We are here live in the Sculpt Menopause app community and also actually on the Sculpted Menopause business page as well, which is amazing. I'm just live everywhere. Let me just make sure I'm not doing what I did last week where I had my audio also on in a couple of different places as well. Brilliant. I'm switched off. So yes, welcome. Another Monday together. If you are catching me live, it is a very rainy Monday here in Belfast. We're a little bit worried because we had some sunshine for the past, about 7 days. And it kind of keeps happening every year that we get like this flurry of sunshine sort of around this sort of April, May time. And then we have the rainiest, wettest summer. So everyone's a bit worried. There's been a meme going around that we've been borrowing the sun from the summer. And I have to feel a little bit anxious about that too. But I know many of you are all over the world. You have a beautiful sunshine all year round, or most of the year round, whereas in Belfast here in Northern Ireland, we just have rain nonstop. Winter, spring, autumn, summer, it just rains all the time. I always joke that we're going to be swamp people in years to come with little webbed feet walking through all the rain. Anyways, I've got Mia on live. Samia, welcome to you. And Maiken, hello to you as well. I've got lots of juicy questions which were asked in the Sculpted Menopause app community, which is amazing. Thank you so much. And let me just actually go there right now. And I'm going to get rid of this notification. Oh, my phone is just frozen. Here, let me get rid of it. I'm going to just make sure that my live is pinned at the top so everybody can find it. And then also, I'll do a little tag on it if needs be. Oh, it's already pinned. Happy days. Is there a tag on it? Yes, okay. The amazing Maya has already pinned and tagged, which is awesome. So welcome. Today, I'm going to take I'm going to take questions that have already been asked on a graphics. There's been pre-asked questions, lots of really good training questions today that we're going to dive into. But really, this call is about really anything the Sculpted Menopause app specific. So if you need any technical help with our Sculpted Menopause app, anything peri to post-menopause about symptoms. I'm not a medical doctor like our gynecological surgeon, Dr. Rachel, that we have, but I'm very well educated in peri to postmenopause. So I can help you with advice on different things like that, especially when it comes to fat loss, muscle building, and fitness in menopause, which is our real speciality here. And we can answer all things fitness, fat loss, and muscle building. So do just fire any questions. I'll keep an eye on Facebook. I'll keep an eye on YouTube and grab any questions as we go through. I've got Nancy now joining us. Good morning to you, Nancy. Let me bring the questions up here and we'll get stuck into them. Who was in first? Where are we? There we go. Okay. Maiken, you're on here. Maiken, do you know what, Maiken, because you're on live and you've pre-asked your question, I'm going to grab yours first. Maiken has asked, question about failure with reps versus load. She's training with dumbbells at home. And Maiken has been training with dumbbells at home in our programs for a very long time and very successfully. So do keep up the amazing work. I'm having a technical issue of adding more load for glute bridges. The dumbbell is too heavy and awkward to pull up on my hips. So a glute bridge, you would either lie flat on your back or you would set your shoulders, say, on a bench. And then especially if you're training at home, Maiken is then taking a dumbbell and setting it on her hips. And she's just finding it a bit difficult at the moment, just in case you don't know what a glute bridge is. If I perform more reps with the still heavy but lower weight, I've missed out a bit. The dumbbell is too heavy and awkward to pull up on my hips. So should I perform more reps with the still heavy but lower weight? And if I did, what should failure feel like? Or should I go until a certain pain threshold from the burning, or rather push through the burn and feel with fatigue? Would there be another solution? I do have an option. I do have a barbell, but haven't explored this option yet. I imagine I will have the same problem of getting into this position. Thank you so much. When it comes to answering questions like this, so questions that come up of, I have this exercise and I'm finding it difficult. Should I keep going with this exercise or should I swap it for another? Should I keep going with this exercise or should I swap maybe the piece of equipment that I'm using for this specific exercise? So in what the example that Maiken's given us, she's training with a dumbbell at the moment, which is feeling too heavy. And she has shared that she does have barbells at home. what you always want to think about, and our priority, first and foremost, even when we're training at home, so whether we're training at a gym, a commercial gym, you've got a well kitted out home gym, or you're even doing any of our follow along workouts. And oh my gosh, if you have not seen, we have some brand new follow along workouts, which our founder, Kim Constable, has been recording here in the studio. They're absolutely insane. I will share the YouTube link. Let me, I'll share the YouTube link as I talk here. Let me try and find it. So I'm taking a complete sidestep, but bear with me because I think I want to get this to share it in the chat with you. Kim is recording really badass, and I know some of you guys have already tried it. Follow along workouts at home. I've found the link and I'm going to share it with you. And they are really, really tough workouts, but super effective workouts that you can do anywhere, anytime. Kim is using weights which are actually quite similar to the weights that she would use at in the gym if she was training, or in her home gym, but you could use any weights that you have access to. But to really, really lead that example of training hard and heavy at home without needing to go to the gym, because Kim's been going to the gym for many, many years, but something she's actually openly struggled with, both in her coaching calls, if you've been part of them, or she'll share openly on Instagram and on social media. She has really struggled with perimenopause symptoms over the most recent years, just real muscle soreness, injuries, niggles that just don't go away, injuries that just don't go away, pain in joints, then all the other things that come with it, of the hot flushes, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the lack of sleep. She's just really not having a great time at the moment. And she has made a very active choice that she is going to cut down her gym training and move more to this at-home style training, but still with the heaviest weights that she has access to, because she wants to maintain the muscle that she has worked so hard to build and keep building it as she goes along by creating that muscle stimulus. I'm just going to share the link here. This will pop up on YouTube. There we go. So this is the link to Kim's new workouts, and there's going to be more to come, so much more to come. There's more in the app, but there's also going to be more that we're going to share on the Sculpted Menopause YouTube site, so definitely keep connected with that. Back to you, Mike. When it comes to, should I stop an exercise and change to a different one, or should I adapt an exercise? Same exercise, but say different equipment. What we want you to first and foremost think about is, how could you still perform that exercise with the most load? Because what can happen, and what I commonly see in our communities, is somebody, quite inexperienced trainers, and you don't know what you don't know, but they've maybe come in and they feel like they can't barbell back squat. They've had maybe a little bit of a back injury or a knee injury. Something just makes them anxious. Find back squats pretty scary. They don't really want to do them. And they'll have said that this it's okay, but I've swapped the barbell back squat for a banded squat. And I like, where's my bands? Oh, the bands are over there. So literally, barbells you can get in the gym, you can put all the weights on, you can get under the bar and squat up and down, has been swapped for this little glute band which wraps around your head. And because one's a squat and the other's a squat, it's like, boom, perfect match. They are both a squat. There we go. It's not just about swapping a similar exercise for another. It's about trying to swap load for load. So for you, Mike, to make your decision of what you're going to do, my question to you would be, and you can tell me in the comment section here, how could you best swap over load for load, first and foremost? So when you said you have a barbell, I'm like, boom, that's like, okay. Dumbbell, I've tried it. Dumbbell glute bridges, they are uncomfortable. Like, it is pretty uncomfortable. A couple of things you could try to bring more comfort. You could set like the likes of a yoga mat on your hips, so like not a rolled up, but like kind of a folded over yoga mat, which is maybe about this wide by the time you've sort of folded it over, and this thick. You could set that on your hips with the dumbbell on it, just to provide a little bit of a cushion between that and your hips, to see if that helps. Because again, then you could still keep lifting load for load, same load, but you've tried to create a bit more comfort that way. But I would be looking at your barbell and really looking at if you could be putting the same load on your barbell as what you have with the dumbbell. But a barbell hip thrust is going to be more comfortable than a dumbbell hip thrust, because the weights are at this end and then it's balanced out across the weight. With the barbell, it's going to rest on your hip. If you're going to do that, what I would get, and you can get them quite inexpensively from Amazon, is get a hip hip protector pad, I think sometimes it can be called. I think I normally Google hip thruster pad, but I think they can be called like hip protection pad. But it's basically, I'm looking if is there any here I can show you. It's definitely not any in this room. It's a foam, like a foam cylinder that you can wrap around your bar, Velcro it on, and then that rests on your hips. Or some people even, once again, just put that folded up yoga mat across their hips, and then they put the barbell on top of it. And you've just got that bit of comfort which comes from the bar. So first port of call for you, Mike, and for anybody, if you're ever thinking, oh, this exercise isn't working for me, or even you're in a busy gym and you can't get on everything, or you're maybe doing any of our plans in your home gym, but you don't have a piece of equipment. First of all, Google is a brilliant world of knowledge of how you can get really quick answers, especially if you're training in a commercial gym. If you're stuck, you're finding you're having to change your program because someone's hugging the Smith machine, they're on the chest press machine, like they're just on that piece of equipment that you want. They're taking so long. There's nothing worse than you want a piece of equipment and someone's just sitting there on their phone, scrolling and scrolling, and you're like, oh my gosh, you want to kill them because you want it on it so bad. And like they do one set and then they scroll for 5 minutes and then they do another set. If that ever happens, in general, if you ever want on a piece of equipment and someone else is on it, go up to them, give them a little wave, a little tap on the shoulder, and always just ask, how long have you got left? How many sets have you got left? Really simple question. How many sets have you got left on this piece of equipment? If anybody ever asks me that, I'm just like, oh, 2, 3. I'll be done in 5 minutes. I'll be done in 2 minutes. And I'll always kind of give like a little nod or a little wave across the gym just to signal that I'm done to let somebody else on it. It's a really good way. It's just a good gym etiquette that you are politely asking that you would like it go in the machine rather than like passively aggressively, giving them like dirty looks across the gym and like steam's coming out of your ears because you want on. So it's kind of good gym etiquette, but what you're doing to the person on that piece of equipment, you're making them aware that someone else is waiting in line for it and they might not even have noticed that. Like best intentions, someone doesn't think anybody else wants the equipment and they're just taking their time and just gives them a little boot up the butt to get a move on. So do always feel that you can do that when you're training in a commercial gym, but also just Google as well. If you're really pushed for time, someone's in a piece of equipment, say the Smith machine, then you could Google machine alternative to Smith barbell squat, barbell alternative to a Smith squat is going to be a barbell squat. But you can just really Google dumbbell alternatives, barbell alternatives, banded alternatives, whatever you need to do with that. But you want to make sure that whatever the alternative is, you're trying to chase a similar load on it. So Mike, can think of that first. So load for load, you want to look at it. Otherwise, you could, okay, so Mike has responded, this is good. The combo of discs I have are really big, awkward, and it's more that my upper body isn't strong enough to drag the dumbbell up. So perhaps the barbell could be easier to kind of pivot over my body. Yes. So another tip for when you're setting up your glute bridges at home, especially if things are a little bit tricky for you getting up or under it. What I used to do, because I had to do this when COVID happened, I started having to train from my spare room, and I basically brought as much equipment from where I used to personal train in a gymnastics club I used to work in. I packed my car up, and basically the last day that we were able to provide the gymnastic classes before like everything got shut down for lockdown, I packed everything into my car, as much of the gym equipment as I could, and brought it home, and then carted it up and down the stairs to my spare room and just worked out as best as I could in there. But it wasn't ideal, and it wasn't a gym. I would have trained in a commercial gym there. So I just had to try my best. And Mike, and it is very much like that when you're training at home. One thing that can help, is to set up that you have 2 plates on the floor, and you put your barbell, so 2 plates on the floor, and then you roll your barbell onto those plates. So a plate's here, and then another barbell is sitting on its end here, and your barbell is here. That can give you at times space to get underneath your bar, because sometimes the barbell, it is the height the barbell comes from the ground. You just can't like wiggle your body in underneath the barbell. And then you'd maybe feel like you kind of have to, like I felt before, like I have to like lift the barbell onto me. It's really, really heavy. So if you put your barbell on a little bit of a height so you can get in and underneath it, and then you can get your feet wiggled in nice and close, so you're going to get that good squeeze up. Obviously it's not tapping right down to the floor, so you don't want too much of a height, but a little bit of a height, something, 2 little ledges, 2 little blocks, something to rest your barbells on. That'll give you a little bit of space to get underneath the barbell, and then to squeeze and to drive it up and down as much as possible. So I would try that first if that's where you think you're going to get best load for load. Other than that, then of course you can go to failure on more reps. What does that feel like? Going to failure on more reps is, you've asked, is it like chasing the burn? Like, yes, you are. The weights that you're probably training with at home, they will be lighter than what you're training with in the gym. So weights that we're training with at home, we're more chasing metabolic stress, which is where we train and we fatigue the muscles so much that they shake like the metabolites in our muscles, and it causes muscle fatigue and muscle damage that way. Metabolic stress is the real like burning sensation you get when you're like, oh my gosh, you feel like your butt's about to explode when you're doing like the glute band walks in your band, or you just feel like your arms, your body's got like really pumped and it's about to burst. With that, just real metabolic stress. And that happens a lot when you're training with higher reps, or also at times when you're training with less rest. When we're training in a gym with heavier weights, it's more mechanical damage, which is the weights that we're using. And if we're training hard enough that we're taking our body to the limits that we can and taking it further, we're actually even tearing muscle fibers. We're not shaking things about. We're actually ripping and tearing muscle fibers, but in a good way, because when we rest, then they repair and they grow from that. So training at home is metabolic stress. Training more in a gym will be more mechanical damage, mechanical stress, which happens there. So 2 different types of stress. So you can definitely train with that metabolic stress at home. It is really more chasing that burn, but let's make it even simpler than that. For anybody, wherever you're training, whatever you're training with, we just really want you to build muscle. This is to build muscle in perimenopause, menopause. If you class yourself as always in menopause after you have that final menstrual period in the 12 months after. I know some people like to just, they've went, well, menopause is just a moment. It's just a moment in time. It's that day in the calendar where it's been 12 months since your last menstrual cycle, your last period, and you never have any again. Some people just always class themselves as menopause then for the rest of their life, or some people like to use the word post-menopause. All the same thing. It doesn't matter what you call it. But for building muscle in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we really want you to be training hard and heavy, whatever heavy means for you, and really taking your muscles to muscle failure. And that is where you literally cannot move that weight no more, whether it's body weight. And for me, that's when I'm doing like a push-up and I'm like stuck at the bottom and then it lands on my face. Whether it is a shoulder press, and again, I'm trying to press it up and I'm stuck. And then I have to stop. Whether it is a squat and you get to the bottom, and on that final rep, it takes you like 8 to 10 seconds to get back up again. And you just know if you did another rep like that, then boom, your butt would be on the floor. So you're maybe not going to do that, but you just can't move anymore. So Mike, and if it was on reps, it'd be still trying to chase as much load as possible. Maybe with your setup, you can't get to the maximum load that you'd want to, but I really just want you repping, yes, chasing that burn, and yes, going until you just cannot pump that glute bridge, pump that glute thrust, one thrust more, and you have to stop there. So hopefully those have helped. I've seen you've liked the idea of the plate under the barbell. So try that and let me know. See how you get on with that. Now, let me just see if there's any other questions pop up anywhere. Oh, so the feedback for Kim's. Oh, here, right. I'm just going to share. I've noticed in Facebook, I can share the YouTube link of Kim's class. I just want to do that as well. Sarah shared, I did half of Kim's new leg day, glute skilled for days. Oh my. Okay, that's amazing. I'm loving that. So I've shared the link to YouTube, specifically to Kim's Ignite series video on Facebook and then also in YouTube. But just go to the Sculpted Menopause and you will find it. And we're cleaning and tidying up the whole Sculpted Menopause YouTube page. So there's gonna be so many workouts coming from Kim, which is amazing. I'm in I feel like I'm in retirement now because I am pregnant. Been 19 weeks pregnant this week. So it's great. I used to do the majority of the follow along workouts, and I just sit here at my table. I just eat all day long. I just have snacks and just have my feet up and just watch Kim in here doing all the follow along workouts, and just that's brilliant. She can rock on and go there with it. They're looking absolutely amazing. Questions next. Celeste Pinkham, you have asked, hyperextensions hurt my lower back. Should I substitute a different exercise or skip it on glute or ham days? So we definitely don't want to skip an exercise. If there's ever anything, well, first and foremost, if there's ever anything you're having problems with, you're stuck on, ask the question, which everybody was doing, which is amazing. Ask the question in any of the Facebook groups, in any of our app communities, and we will be there to help you with it. Hyperextension. A hyperextension is where we have either the Smith machine or somebody, so you could have the Smith machine, or you would have like a bar across just a normal like squat racks, but basically a bar, you can do them this way. You would have your bar, you would lean your hips against it, and you'd have dumbbells in your hands. Feet are on the floor, and somebody is leaning forwards over this bar and squeezing back up for their glutes. Leaning forwards over the bar and squeezing back up. There is hyperextension machines that some gyms would have, which would be where you would essentially like wedge you nearly feel like you're lying like flat on your front, but you'd wedge your feet and your legs in. And again, you'd be like on your knees, nearly be kneeling. And then again, you have that position where you can lean forwards and you're squeezing yourself back up. Things that I've noticed commonly for people who would find that they get back pain in a hyperextension. First of all there's a couple of things. So I'm going to pretend now. What am I going to pretend? I'm going to pretend these are my legs and this is my upper body. Okay, so here's my feet. Here's my hips. This is the hinge at my hips, and my wrist is my head. So here's me standing up, and there's a bar here. So for the hyperextension, there's dumbbells in someone's hands. This is their butt, and they're leaning forwards, and then this is their glutes. They're squeezing back up. So you want that kind of movement. We hinge forwards at the hips. The dumbbells are here, and then we use our butt here to squeeze back up again. I should it standing there. A lot of people aren't using their butt. So from the start of the movement, you clench your butt and you're squeezing your butt the whole way through the movement. Your back is not involved. What can happen is a lot of people are just like flopping down and then flopping back up again. And their back is having to get a lot more involved. The tension in this exercise is in the glutes and into the hamstrings the whole way through. The glutes for the drive up, but you're also getting a stretch into the hamstrings as the body leans forwards. So you want to first get into the movement of the hyperextensions. You have your dumbbells in your hands, but before you even start to lean, you need to squeeze your butt, really, really tense your butt, brace your abs, and keep the control coming from your butt. Your butt is lowering you down, and it's squeezing you back up again. Some people, quite a lot of people, to be honest, don't have great flexibility in their hamstrings. So I was a gymnast. I don't have the best flexibility anymore, but definitely in my early days of recording instructional videos for the company, something I had to be really mindful of is in the likes of deadlifts or hyperextensions or different exercises like that, where I needed to go in a movement to get a stretch. Other people did not need to go that low to get that stretch. So you only ever need to hinge forwards as far as you go that you can feel a stretch in your hamstrings, that you feel that you can squeeze yourself back up again. So what's happening is I've seen before, and these may be options that are happening for you, Celeste, or not, but I'll just throw them all out at you and hopefully one will stick. Some people are they're folding too far forwards, further forwards than they need to just get the squeeze into the glutes and the stretch into the hamstrings. And then they're having to use their back muscles more to get back up. So you only really have to go to you feel that stretch in the hamstrings and then squeeze back up from there. One other thing that can happen and what you want to have, especially in deadlifts, so I can show this here. So a common thing that happens in deadlifts of people's shoulders, and people's shoulders when they feel that they are having back issues with it. So if you watch my shoulders here, so they're down my back. As they come forwards and they hinge forwards in their deadlift, their shoulders start to come with them. I've got black on, which isn't the best, but look what happens to my back when my shoulders start to come forwards. I start to round in my back. And I always watch their shoulders, and you see their shoulders coming backwards and forwards. And even just doing that movement is making my back arch and round. When you're performing a deadlift, when you're performing a hyperextension, anything where you're hinging at the hips, you have to keep those shoulders drawn back. And it's hard because you've got these heavy dumbbells attached to your hands and they're pulling you forwards. And it's hard as well because there's so much to think of in those exercises. It definitely takes practice. But you want to think that even as your body hinges forwards, your shoulders don't. They stay down the back. For a hyperextension, I would get my feet steady. I'd actually tuck my chin in. I would round my upper body a little bit, but my shoulders are going to stay there. I'd brace my abs, but I would keep my shoulders steady as I come forwards and backwards. They're not flopping forwards and backwards. So what I would say first, Celeste, is if it's hurting your lower back, you need to think, are you coming down further than you need to, that your back's having to work to get you back up again when you don't need to maybe come as far and you could still get into your glute and hamstrings? Are you from start to finish thinking about activating your glutes so that your glutes are in charge of the lowering and the squeezing back up? Because again, maybe it's your back that's having to kick in to do all the work with it. And then number 3, I would think about your shoulders. Could it be that your shoulders are falling forward and you're just taking all that weight forwards? Even just doing that, that's rounding into my lower back. And once again, the back's having to get involved to pull you back up. So I would even set a video up if you can. You can ask yourself those questions. Are you activating your glutes? Are you coming down too far? And are you letting your shoulders round forwards? Want to keep them steady. You can ask yourself those questions or set up a video and record it. Even set up a video and record yourself doing it, Celeste, and anybody, and share it in the app community, any of the app communities, and all of the coaching team. We can help you. We can look at it. So try them first. If it's still a no, we don't ever just want to skip an exercise. We definitely want to substitute it. You could swap that, your hyperextension, for a dumbbell deadlift, swap to that. But the thing of a dumbbell deadlift is, though, if those same issues could still come up with your lower back and a dumbbell deadlift, if they're happening on the hyperextension, if your shoulders are rounding forwards, if you're not activating your glutes from the start, and if you're coming further forwards than you need to. So try those first and we'll see how we go with it. Let me see if there's anything coming up here for other questions. Linda, you've asked, what are your favorite snacks? Oh, Linda, anything. I will eat anything and everything at the moment. And there's a little bit of fruit in here. Like I have a banana beside me, I have apples beside me. But there's also protein bars down there. There's sweets in the car that I went out and grabbed about an hour ago. Anything and everything. You're not going to get healthy snack recommendations from me at the moment. It's just not happening. Manalish, you have asked, any word on when you'll be able to swap out exercises if you're following a preset program or change the order of the exercises? So what she is referring to is within the Sculpt and Menopause app. At the moment, we have over 100 training programs and over 450 recipes, over 100 training programs and counting. I don't even think that counts the follow along classes. I think that's just between our gym, home gym, and follow along programs. And then we have our follow along classes, which are dumbbells, cardio. We've got HIIT cardio, list cardio. We have abs classes, we've got yoga, and we've actually added some meditation sessions into that class section. So we have all this variety of options. But what we don't have at the moment, which some members have been requesting because you've experienced it on other apps, is the ability to substitute an exercise for another. So you, like Celeste had the hyperextension. She doesn't want to do that anymore. So she wants to put in the likes of a dumbbell deadlift into it. At the moment, we don't have that capability, and I'm going to explain why. First and foremost, when it comes to our app and comparing the Sculpt and Menopause app with its features that it has at the moment, with the features that maybe the likes of MyFitnessPal has or the likes of the Strong app has, you do need to keep in mind, and I Googled this the other day, MyFitnessPal is over 20 years old. The Strong app is 13 years old. And with each of those apps, the MyFitnessPal is just a nutrition app. That's all it is. It's just a nutrition app. And they have built it over the past 20 years to be as singing and dancing with that, with all the years of development. The Strong app is just a training app. That's all it is. It doesn't have coaching in it. It doesn't have meal plans in it. It's just an exercise app with just exercises, which has been built once again over 13 years, and all the development and learning and everything that's come with it. The Sculpt and Menopause app, we've been going for 3 months and we are doing pretty damn well with everything that we've built over this time, and the feedback that we've taken from everybody and the features that we are building. But it is going to take us time to build different features and build features in a way that work in our app. So at the moment, the big bit of development that we've got going on really at the moment is within our meal plans. We're working on building the capabilities for easier logging, easier navigating of both like of the scanner and where like foods live and different things that you have, and also building the capability to be able to log meals in the future and log meals in the past if you have, say, forgotten to log a meal the next day. So, or the day before. That is our real priority at the moment, because that is the feature that is really being used. The meal plan feature it's being used the most by the most people, and it needs sort of the most work that we've got. So we've got our developers really on that at the moment. We will be looking in time at developing the training program feature, but to be honest, I don't know when right now, because if we were to, at this point, develop the capability for one exercise to be swapped for another exercise, we would need to build the whole capability, essentially, that a member would be able to build their own training program. And that's going to be a whole thing within itself. Then we would need them that you were able to access our exercise video library to swap one exercise for the other, which would then mean we'd probably have to build out our exercise video library, because right now we have exercises that fit all of our programs, but there's going to be hundreds of exercises that you use that aren't in our programs, or the piece of equipment that's in your gym, and you want to swap. You want to take out that hyperextension and swap it for that funky machine that your gym has in that corner. So it does also then mean we would have to build out a whole library of extra exercises, extra things for you to be able to swap them in and out. So nothing's ever simple. Nothing's ever simple when it comes to app building, and everything takes time. So it's definitely on our wish list, our to-do list, that we'd love to build some sort of capability here for you to be able to do it. That's going to take a bit of time, but do you really know meal plans at the moment? We're really focused on that meal plan feature and other different things. Like we've got the community feature working better, the search. We're adding things all the time. We're constantly pestering our developers. Joked one day about deleting our group chat so we couldn't keep hounding them as much with all the different things. So everyone is on the ball as much as possible. And thank you for the patience. If certain things aren't quite where you want them to be just yet, just know we're listening and we're doing as much as we can to get them to that point. Jennifer Smith, you have asked, my question is, if I don't have a Smith machine at home, can I replace the dumbbell hyperextensions on day 4 with RDLs? Yes, you could. Yeah, so your mini and deadlift, you could. If you have a squat rack, which I'm maybe going to guess you don't have at home, you can also set up your squat rack with a bar across the squat rack, and that is like your equivalent of the lean forwards. I did put the Smith hyperextension in some of the programs. I think I actually meant to just put the hyperextension, which demonstrated the bar across the likes of a squat rack, and you'd lean backwards and forwards from that. So go for that swap if you want to. I'll get some questions here from the side. Nancy has asked, I always do the 8 minutes abs after my workout. Is that a good thing to do? 100%. If you want to do that, go for it. The likes of your abs, we don't need to train our abs with any of our training programs, because you're already training your abs in the way of your exercises, your compound movements, like in your squat, in your deadlift, in even your, lying down and doing like a chest press. You're having to brace your abs. In any exercise, you should be bracing your abs. So you're getting an abdominal workout there, and the challenge of the balance and the movement of the exercise. So you are working your abs in any of our training programs without any additional ab exercises. But I was a Pilates instructor for like 20 years before I joined the company. I was a gymnast before then, so I love ab exercises. Kim hates ab exercises. She's actually had some in her follow along workouts, and I was winding her up. I was like, what has become of you? I'm recording ab workouts. It's funny. But 8-minute abs, that was something I'd created a while ago. It's just that perfect little bit of abs you can add on at the end of any workout, and 100% do that if you want to. For that little bit of extra ab work, that little bit of burn. It's all body weight exercises. They're not weighted exercises. So they're not going to bulk up the abs. The abs are like any muscle. So, if you train them a lot and with a lot of like load and weight, they are a muscle that could get bigger like any. But any of the exercises that I created in the 8 minutes abs, or even Amy's got some amazing ab workouts, an ab workout in the app, it's all body weight work. So we're not looking to bulk the abs. We're just trying to train and really chase that burn. So yes, 100% a good thing to do if you want to. Linda, you've asked, are you looking at more menopause features with nutrition and training in mind with Dr. Rachel? So yes, Dr. Rachel is now going to be doing 2 coaching calls a month. One of the coaching calls is what she's already been doing. So it's part of the paid small group Zoom coaching that some of you are part of, or you can upgrade to at any time. That is where you get 9 small group Zoom coaching calls a month. You get 2 a week, one with me on a Tuesday, one with Coach Vanessa on a Thursday. And then once a month, you get an Ask a Doctor call with Dr. Rachel, where you can ask her all of her questions. Everyone loves the Ask a Doctor calls, because like where else for free or for part of this paid upgrades, can you get access to a doctor I'm a woman doctor, a menopause doctor, a specialist, where you can ask all your questions in a little bit of privacy of the comfort of the call, and women going through the same thing as you and get real specific advice. She is just absolutely amazing. So we already have had that as part of the paid coaching, but we want to give Dr. Rachel to the wider masses, because we cannot keep her to ourselves, because she is so amazing. So bi-weekly, she'll do her Ask a Doctor, which is the Zoom calls 1 week, and then every 2 weeks, she's also going to do a live Q&A, which will be happening in the Mastering Menopause group. So as another Facebook community we have, let me grab it now and share the link, because that's just reminded me of something I nearly forgot. At the moment, if you're watching this on Facebook, I am live in the Sculpted Menopause app community. From next week, I am going to be, and I'm also on the Sculpted Menopause YouTube group or YouTube channel, and I'm live on the Sculpted Menopause business page. From next week, I'll still be live on the Sculpted Menopause YouTube channel. I'll still be live on the Sculpted Menopause Facebook group, but a Facebook page, the business page, but the Facebook group where I'm going to be live is going to change. It's going to be this one. So I'm going to share this both in YouTube, and then I'm going to share this also over in Facebook. So this is the Mastering Menopause group. That is where I'm going to be live every Monday. Kim is live every Tuesday, and Dr. Rachel is going to be live in that group once a month, doing an Ask Your Doctor call, which is free for absolutely everybody, where you can ask any of your questions about anything menopause, especially anything medically you need help with menopause, and you'll have there. So there'll be more of that there. So we're just shifting the calls all over to that Mastering Menopause group, because it'll be a bit confusing when one calls one place, one calls another place. So from next Monday, and we'll remind you about this and remind you to join the group, all the calls, the live calls will happen in that Mastering Menopause or Mastering Perimenopause group. Let me get a question from Facebook. What's Sharon Creech? You've asked, and let me get rid of Linda's question here. What's the benefits of progressive overload versus dropping the weight down? I always used to drop the weight down before I started with you. So what Sharon means is there is a training style she was using before, where she would, let's say Sharon was doing, and I think this is what Sharon was doing. I'm like, Sharon was doing this. I think she was. Let's say she had 3 sets. And so she would have performed her first set with the heaviest weight she could have got, she could have grabbed, she could have used. I guess went to failure on that set. And then as she went through the following sets, she would have lightened her weight, went to failure, lightened her weight, and went to failure again. So I don't really know I can't remember off the top of my head the training method that one is called. But then she's asked about the training method that we teach in the sculpt menopause, which is progressive overload, in the way that we are progressively overloading the muscles as we go through our sets. So let's say we had 3 sets. So Sharon had 3 sets here. Heaviest first set was the heaviest load. Then she dropped her load as she went through her other sets. Over in the sculpted menopause, we go for progressive overload and load, in that our first set is our lightest weight and we increase our weights as we go through the set. Some people believe it's different training styles, it's different methods, different trains of thought. The train of thought with the going as heavy as you can in the first set is that you are the freshest, you have the most energy, you've got the most muscle fibers, I guess, to use, and you're going to use that energy up in the first set, and then you're going to fatigue the muscles as you go through. What we believe and how we teach of our progressive overload in the sculpted menopause is that we are trying to build up our sets. Very importantly, our first set is a warm-up. And I know if the menopausal women, one question we get consistently asked always is, where's the warm-up? What's the warm-up? Where can I find the warm-up video? And when it comes to the gym, the home gym, and even our follow along, your warm-up is your first set. Your warm-up is the first time performing an exercise, going through the movement pattern, performing the exercise, but at a lighter weight to warm the muscles up, to get the blood flowing through the body, to get your cardiovascular system going, get the brain working, firing all those signals of training that movement pattern with good technique at a lighter weight. All that is happening in that first set. That is your warm-up. So something to note about starting with your heaviest weight first and then dropping the weight is you're losing that aspect of that warm-up. You're going straight in at this heavy weight where you maybe haven't warmed the muscles up, warmed the joints up, you haven't practiced the movement pattern, you haven't, got the blood flowing, got your breathing going, you're just going straight in there. So bit of injury kind of risk going on there. Whereas with our form of progressive overload, we're warming up in this. We then see it that in each set, we are recruiting our muscle fibers. So let's say first set, it's a warm up, it's a lightweight. I've recruited 50% of my muscle fibers. My second set, I've made my load heavier, my weight heavier. So let's imagine I've recruited another 25%. So like 75% of my muscle fibers are firing for the shoulder press that I am doing. Final set, last set, I'm going as heavy as I can, and I'm going to go till I literally cannot move that weight anymore. And the theory behind that is that I've recruited 100% of my muscle fibers. There's no more here that can work, but I'm still working. I'm still pushing. So I'm pushing myself over that threshold of firing up those 100% of my muscle fibers, and I'm trying to push for more. And that's where the ripping and the tearing and the mechanical stress and damage comes from training with heavy loads and going to failure in the final reps of your sets. You take yourself to where you can, and then you take yourself past that point as far as you can. And you do that again and again and again. So the muscle fibers rip, but then so when you rest, they repair. You give them a reason to grow. So we're giving them a reason to grow over the period of the 3 sets or whatever many sets, and building up and recruiting those muscle fibers to take our bodies to the point of failure. Whereas I guess the other theory is that you're in that one set going all out. But if I even think of myself right now, if I was going to do that, perform the way that Sharon described, I don't know. I don't know what weight I would choose to begin with, because I know the weights that I can lift once I've sort of warmed up and built up to it in my final set. But I don't think I could, on a leg press, I've got up to maybe 200 kilograms, 220 kilograms. Or like I know like my hack squat, I am up to, the hack squat is the machine, incline hack squat. You have to squat the machine. Plus I've got, say, 2 plates each side. So that's 20, 40, 80. I've got up to like 120, say, in the hack squat. I couldn't just get on that machine in that first set, like bash out those 120. I feel like overall I would end up lifting less load that way. Also, if I with again the kind of more risk of injury. So it's a different training method, it's a different training style, a different train of thought. But our train of thought over here for progressive overload is we want to warm up with that first set. We want to increase our weights as we go through our sets, and we want to take our body in that final set to true muscle failure, where we can't move our body, we can't move that weight anymore, and then we take our body to where it can do, we try and push it further than what it can do, and we give our muscles a reason to grow. So even just describing them, even just to the point of getting a warm up with the option that we use, I do just feel it's more suited to the menopausal woman, because something I know a lot of women struggle with is injuries, is sore joints, is fear of training and hurting yourself. Just our bodies can feel a lot more precious as we age. So just even that aspect of a bit of more of a warm up alone, I think is definitely something to be argued to. So do stick with us, Sharon, if you can. Stick with this training if possible. Let me grab, okay. Last question here over in the Facebook group, and let me just check. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. And people are saying that they've joined the Mastering Menopause group, which is amazing. Gonzalez Barb, you have asked, is there a way to train while pregnant and after delivering to help prevent pelvic floor issues? What moves would you choose for recovery to be specific to strengthen your pelvic floor? So I had to check with this one because I didn't think Gonzalez was pregnant. So I didn't know if you were asking of curiosity of what I was doing or just in general. So, because this is a menopause group. So now I'm going to be heading to perimenopause, I would say, pretty quickly after having kids. So we might at sometimes have some pregnant women in this group. Like I'm a geriatric mother at the grand age of 37, and I'll be 38 when I have my baby. I think in Northern Ireland, I think anyone over the age of 25 is classed as a geriatric mother. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but I think over the age of 25 here. So I'll be 38 by the time I have my baby. But yeah, I'm a little geriatric mother. Trying my best. So Gonzalez is she has clarified that she was left with pelvic floor issues after her youngest was born. She still deals with issues when deadlifting. I'm wondering what I can do to help fix it. I know the body can heal. I just haven't found something that helps. I love lifting, and it makes me sad when I can't control that part of the body. What I want to say for you, Gonzalez. So squats. So if we were to get a list of exercises, of all the exercises women could do, unfortunately at the top of the list of what is most likely to cause SUI, which is, as I had to work on my letters, SUI, which is sudden urinary incontinence, the top of that pyramid, the top of that list is the deadlift. And this is not just with women who have had children. So if you ever watch powerlifting or ever see powerlifting, I remember there was a gym I used to train in for a very, very long time. And my very first personal trainer, Marty, he has a powerlifting gym. And I would sort of train there sporadically over the past couple of years, and really was working on my deadlifts and my squats and powerlifting. Now, he would train a lot with, in the way of, again, that like lower reps. So powerlifting is all about chasing like the 1 rep max. And that 1 rep, somebody straight off the bat is trying to get the heaviest weight that they can. So Sharon, for you, the type of training that you described would be more like a power lifter style. On that first, it's not even a set they do, just they're trying to go for maximum weight, first rep, and constantly try and increase that. And there's all different techniques and ways that they get it. But I definitely trained that more heavier style in the earlier sets when I was powerlifting, and then I did like back off sets and all these different things where I then increased my weight. It was more of a powerlifting thing to increase strength, whereas we're over here training for more aesthetics and to build muscle that way, which still does build strength, but we're not over here trying to enter powerlifting competitions. I don't think so. I'm not anyway. Women, 20s, like nowhere near perimenopause, and women who have never even had children. I always remember watching this video of one of his clients performing a deadlift, and I was like, she was peeing herself. And I was like, he's put a video of her peeing herself on Instagram. Like why would he do that? And she was in a bodybuilding, a powerlifting competition. And I think she was performing a deadlift, and it was just pee coming out. And she was just peeing all over the competition platform. I just remember thinking, like, why would he put that up, like that video up of her? Like that's like, I'd be really embarrassed if that was me, like if I peed myself training. But the more the more I started realizing about powerlifting is that is really, really normal for women in powerlifting. Just the pressure that is exerted on the pelvic floor when they're, so especially a deadlift where you're leaning forwards and it's a dead lift. You're lifting a dead weight from the floor, and the woman's having to lean forwards and get the weight, and she's just having to squeeze and pull on that bar. And a lot of the time when we're under very, very heavy loads, we can hold our breath. And there's, I can't remember the name of the type of the breath. There's just begins with V, the Valoran method, or I can't remember. There's a type of breathing or it's a lack of breathing. It's actually just a way that when we're under extreme loads, we can a natural body's reaction is just like to hold its breath to get through it. And just the pressure on the pelvic floor, just pee comes out. It's really, really common in powerlifting. First most common exercise is the deadlift, then the squat. But even for some people, they would do the bench press as well. It's just the pressure going down at while they're doing it, and they just pee. So it's just like a thing, and they're researching it, and they just don't really quite know why. Again, these women with undamaged pelvic floors, so to say, by childbirth, strong pelvic floors from the muscles that they have, it just seems to be like a pressure thing. I experienced that myself. B is asking, did you just say you're pregnant? Yes, I am 19 weeks pregnant this week. About 4 weeks ago, I had a really bad chest infection, and I kept coughing and I kept sneezing. And for the first couple of days, it wasn't too bad. But see, as the days went on, I think I was coughing so much and sneezing so hard. I think I just had weakened my pelvic floor muscles, and I kept peeing myself. And for 3 days, I had to wear like period pants, what absorb your period, but like a nappy for my pee because I kept peeing every time I sneeze, every time I cough. I really was starting to despair. I was joking with any of my friends who have had kids, and they're just like, Laura, this is your life now. Get used to it. Now, thankfully, now that chest infections went, I feel like my pelvic floors got back to what it was. So I'm not peeing myself every single time I cough or sneeze. Still sometimes, but this was all day long with this infection that I had. But it was just the pressure. It was just the constant pressure that was getting impacted, the force down in that pelvic floor, that it causes like this involuntary release, especially with being pregnant, you need to flip and pee all the time. So just pee was coming out. So Gonzalez, I would say first, it won't just be you. You're definitely not on your own when it comes to the deadlift. Someone who's had a baby or not had a baby, with the deadlift is the most common exercise for causing that SUI, so sudden urinary incontinence, unfortunately. When it comes to having babies, and especially if you've had a vaginal delivery, there is then that aspect of the pelvic floor has been through trauma. In a C-section, the abdominal muscles have been through trauma, and a vaginal delivery, then the pelvic floor muscles, your vagina, as everything has been through extreme trauma. One thing that really frustrates me about the healthcare in general is I feel like women, I don't think it's just in Northern Ireland. I think it's really, really worldwide, but I might be wrong. Different countries might have a much better setup than especially what we have here in the United Kingdom. But I feel like here in the United Kingdom, there's all these appointments, all these antenatal appointments and different support that women get when they're pregnant, and checks on the baby, but also checks on the woman. But kind of feels like there's only checks on the woman because the baby's in there. You don't really care about the woman. It's just, is the baby okay? So there's all these checks for the woman. And as soon as the woman has the baby, and I honestly don't know, I know very, very few people who have had births that have been not traumatic, that have not been hard, long, laborious, traumatic. There's been pelvic floor damage, there's been damage to their spine, there's been damage to their abdominals. They've just had a really, really, their bodies went through like a lot, and then there'll just be like this little 6-week appointment at some point where some health visitor comes out and asks a load of questions, and they're like, okay, you're okay now, bye now. And the woman never gets seen again. So I feel like there's so much support of a woman coming up to birth to give the birth and kind of just feels about the baby, which again, maybe it should be. And there's nothing at the other side. And your body has went through trauma, and that maybe is you, and you're maybe now 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years later after you've had your baby. And unfortunately, you have went through some sort of trauma with it. There is an aspect where things will change. Your pelvic floor might always be a little bit different after having a baby. Like the way your breasts are always going to be a bit different after maybe having a baby and breastfeeding them. I know my body is never going to look like what it used to look like. My hips have changed. I'll get stretch marks, I'm sure. Like things will just be different. My body is going to be different after having a baby, and there's that. But we definitely don't want anybody suffering with that. That's just no good with it. So when it comes to the pelvic floor, first and foremost, if you're having real struggles with your pelvic floor, try and find a pelvic floor physio somewhere. I think they're becoming a lot more common in this day and age. I've never used anyone, but I just know that if I was to have real pelvic floor trauma, if I was to have real pelvic floor issues after having my baby, that's where I'm going to be going first and foremost, to a pelvic floor physio. Like I would go to anyone if I injured my shoulder, if I hurt my hip, if I tweaked my knee, if I injured any other muscle and part of my body, I would go to the likes of physiotherapist for help of how to rehab it. It'll be exactly the same for my vagina. I'm going to be heading to a pelvic floor therapist. So that'll be my first port of call. If you really want that expert help, it'll be try and find a pelvic floor physio in your area, just to really get down to the nitty gritty of what's going on. And you might need a physical check and just really kind of check what's happened there. Aside from that, how can everyone in general, how can we strengthen our pelvic floors, and how can we support our pelvic floors when it comes to training? You really, really want to work on and practice bracing your pelvic floor. First, just now, so literally just sitting here right now, I'm performing what they call like a Kegel exercises. I'm just drawing up on my pelvic floor. There's all different examples you can use. It's like I'm peeing and I'm trying to stop that pee. I've drawn up and I've sort of closed everything over to squeeze it. But I don't just even think about sort of pulling up on my pelvic floor, where my pee would come out. I'm nearly thinking about pulling up on my pelvic floor where I'd poop out, all down at that bottom sort of pelvic floor area. Right now, I'm just drawing up on everything. Kim Constable, our founder, she uses a funny and an amazing example of activating pelvic floor in the way of what did she call it? The vagina smoothie sucking technique, or smoothie sucking vagina technique. But imagining that you have a straw that is in your vagina, and at the bottom of the straw you have a smoothie, and you're trying to suck that smoothie up that straw into your vagina. That imagery, just of that straw and that pulling up image, it can just help in keeping that pressure on and tension on. You first want to be able just to do that, just like sitting here, drawing up, pulling up, sucking up on that straw, whatever way you like to envision it, on your pelvic floor, at the same time as breathing. Because I know when I can do that, that pull up, I can hold my breath. So the first thing of strengthening the pelvic floor and getting this pelvic floor activation, I'd be working on the pull up on the pelvic floor. So you're thinking about a brace, a pull, stopping the pee of the flow of pee, or that like sucking a smoothie up a straw for your vagina, whatever floats your boat, whatever you want to think about it. So first, just practicing doing that on its own, really just whatever imagery helps you do it. Secondly, then I'd be thinking about getting that pull up, that draw up on the pelvic floor, and then checking that I'm still breathing. You can just breathe as you exercise. Just try and keep that breath flowing through your body as much as possible. I use a connected breath, which is where I tend to breathe on the easiest part of the movement, the eccentric part of the movement. I tend to inhale on, and then I tend to exhale on the concentric part of the movement, the hardest part. So say I'm performing a squat, I would take a breath in. I'll actually be able to show you a video of my last pendulum squat I did last week. I love that you asked this question, Gonzalez, and I'm very well versed on at the moment, because this these are things I'm having to really think about, because I am still training heavy while I am pregnant, and I'm going to continue to train. I'm not training as heavy as I used to, but it's not as heavy. For me, it's not really that heavy anymore, but by most people's standards, I'm still training very, very heavy. But to do that, I already had great control of my pelvic floor. I have great breathing. I'm able to really support my spine and support consistent pressure, stable pressure in my center to keep the baby supported and to keep them breathing as I do these exercises. But I'm thinking even more about it. It's very much at the forefront of my mind. But as I perform this squat, what you'll see is my stomach sticking out because I'm pregnant, but you'll see that it goes out more as I press up. So it goes in more as I come down, and then out more as I press up. Sorry, other way around. Let me start that again. It goes in as I go down because I took a breath in, and it goes out, it contracts as I come back up. So I inhale on the way down, the eccentric, the hard or easiest part of the movement, and I see my belly breathe, fill up with breath. And then I exhale on the way up, the concentric part of the movement, the hardest part, which is getting back up. I see here, I take a bit of pause, and you'll see my abs kind of contract back up again. So I'm constantly drawing up on my pelvic floor, and I'm breathing as I go. And that keeps the pressure spreading through the abdominal cavity rather than the pressure just going down on the pelvic floor at all times. So for you, Gonzalez, and for everybody, it'd be working on that pull up on the pelvic floor, and I'm working on trying to just breathe. I'm just breathing as I'm kind of doing that Kegel and keeping that squeeze on. And I'm really trying to implement it when it comes to your exercises in the way that before you start an exercise, before I start any exercise, and especially now that I'm pregnant, before I perform that pendulum squat, before I start, I nearly go for like a mental checklist. I get myself under the bar and I roll my shoulders down the back. I lean back so my whole back is in the seat of the chair, or it's not really a seat, the back of the chair, let's call it. And then I walk my feet out. I now need to put my feet wider just to allow for my stomach getting bigger. But again, I really like walk my feet out, and I get myself feeling like physically steady. So I physically set my body up. In the outward appearance, I'm just thinking of all the things I do. Then I start to set myself up inwardly in the way, then before I do anything, I draw up on my pelvic floor. I get that strong and steady. And only then, so once I'm physically in the position to start the squat, then I've drawn up on my pelvic floor. Only then do I take then that big breath in to get ready. And then off I go, that inhale and exhale. And you'll see in my final sets, and again, I'm just being a little bit more careful, a little bit more cautious because I am pregnant. I take a pause here. That's me just again setting myself up. And that's me, especially at the moment, making sure that I'm bracing my pelvic floor and I'm really using my breathing before I do those final and heavy sets. So it's getting that squeeze of the pelvic floor and the breathing without any weight, and then practice really of bracing the pelvic floor and breathing while you're moving weight. So hopefully they help, Gonzalez, but I would say just a deadlift is just one of those exercises where that pressure can cause that little bit more of sudden urinary incontinence. You could manage it. You could wear a pad if you still want to do the exercise. It's just kind of one of those things, and maybe it will improve over time. Or if you really wanted to, you could swap over to something else if you want to. All right. I just seen some questions. We're gonna say our goodbyes now. I've got loads of questions here on Facebook. I just wanted to read out. Jennifer, I had my second son at 37, my first at 35. Manalis, I'm in the US, 35 and up is considered geriatric. Yeah, I'm definitely geriatric worldwide by all the classings here. Eating is shared. You had twins, 3 years of 39. Oh my gosh, amazing. Yeah, there's so many there. Yeah, I'm definitely worldwide in the geriatric bracket, but I'm okay with that. That was a really good session. Lots of amazing training questions. We've got a little mixture of our menopause questions in there and some pelvic floor health. I love all of it. I will see you next week. Next Monday is Easter Monday, but if you have the questions, I will still be here to take the calls. So the graphic will go up at the end of the week. So definitely do keep me busy. Join if you can, or catch up on the replay. And yeah, from next week, we'll be in the Mastering Menopause Facebook group, but still same place on YouTube if you're watching there, and same place on the Sculpt and Menopause business page if you are watching there as well. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all the chat and all the sharing, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.